in, open up to your video section. You're going to date today's date, 8/24/20. The title of this video is Decimals to Fractions. So we're going to be converting decimals to fractions. The first thing that we want to review is what the decimal divisors or denominators are for the fractions. So if you have one number behind the decimal, that is a tenth. If you have two numbers behind the decimal, that would be a 100th. Three numbers behind the decimal, that would be a 1,000th. And four numbers behind the decimal, that would be 10,000th. All right, so let's take a look at what we have. We have decimal 22. So when we read it, we actually read it as 22 hundredths. There's two digits, so we go to the second placeholder, and that's the 100. So our first step in converting a decimal to a fraction is we have to rewrite the decimal using the denominator. So if you need to, take a pause right now and write down your steps so you have them to follow. All right, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to write 22 over 100. And then we need to simplify. So we're going to see what we can reduce by. So these are both even numbers. So we can divide the numerator by 2, we can divide the denominator by 2, and we're going to get 1150. So our answer is 11/50. Now we're going to come over to our calculator and we're going to check it. So we're going to do Control, Divide, 11, arrow, 50, Control, Enter. And you'll notice that our decimal over here, 0.22, is the same as our decimal that we started with, so we have our equivalent fraction. Let's do another one. All right, so for this one, the first thing that I'm going to look at is I'm going to look at my answer is going to be negative. How do I know that? Because our decimal is negative. That means our fraction is going to need to be negative. So now I'm going to count. I have 1, 2, 3 digits behind the decimal. So when I rewrite this, it's going to be 625. I'm going to write my 1, and then I'm going to write my 3 zeros. Just like I did up here, I had 2 digits, so I wrote 2 zeros. Just a quick little shortcut there to remember and know how many zeros I need in my denominator. Now, these numbers both end in 5 and 0, so I know 5 will go into it evenly, but I'm going to try 25 since it's so large. So I'm going to divide 625 by 25, and that's going to give me 25 over 40. Now, they still both end in a 5 and a 0, so I'm going to divide by 5 again. And I'm going to get 5/8. And of course, the answer is negative because the decimal was also negative. So now I'm going to go over to my calculator. I'm going to check it. Control, Divide. I don't have to put the negative in because I know the fraction is negative. All I'm checking is the math to see if I have the correct fraction. So I'm going to put in the 8, 5/8, and then I'm going to do Control, Enter, and you'll notice that my decimal here, 0.625, is the same as my decimal here, 0.625. This one's negative, so the fraction would be negative. If I wanted to put that into my calculator to check it with the negative sign, I would do Control, Divide, and I would use the negative button down here, so -5, arrow, 8, Control, Enter, and then I can check it exactly. All right, next one. The next one is 3.6. So I already know that I have a whole number, so I'm going to draw my answer box over here, and I'm going to put my whole number. Then all I need to do is change the decimal. So I'm counting this as one place. So that means it's going to be 6 over 1 with 1 0. I'm going to go ahead and simplify by 2. And that's going to give me 3/5. So 3/5. 3 is equal to 3, so all I need to do is check my 3/5. I go to my calculator, control, divide. 3, arrow down, 5, control, enter, and you see that my 0.6 and my 0.6 decimal 6 match. So that means 3 3/5 is the equivalent fraction to 3.6. Now, sometimes we're going to have fractions that have repeating decimals. So there's an n formula that we're going to use in order to solve those problems. So I'm going to go through the steps with you right now. Again, I would encourage you to press the pause button, write down the steps, and then go through them with me. So step number 1, we have to set the repeating decimal equal to n because we're going to use the n formula. Step number 2, we're going to count how many digits are repeating. Step 3, we're going to multiply by the multiple of 10. Step 4, we're going to subtract and get rid of the repeating decimal. Step 5, get n on the left side and alone. And step 6, we're going to reduce or simplify. So those are the steps that we're going to use our n formula. So let's try one out. So the first problem that we have is decimal 4 repeating. So the first thing that we're supposed to do is set it equal to n. So we're going to put n is equal to decimal 4, 4, 4, 4, 4. And you're going to write 5 4s to help you remember that it's repeating. It actually goes on for infinity. The second thing that we're going to do is we're going to count how many digits are repeating. Well, the 4 is the only digit that's repeating. So we have 1 digit repeating. That means that when we multiply, we're going to multiply by 10. 10 is going to move the decimal 1 place to the right. So let me show you on the calculator. If I have decimal 44444 times 10, you're going to notice that now I have 1 4 that's not repeating and the rest of them that are. And that's the 4 that I need. So over here, we're going to come and we're going to do the brother-sister rule that says whatever I multiply on the left side, I multiply on the right side. So I'm going to do 10n is equal to 4 decimal 4444. And I got that over here by multiplying with the calculator, but I can also just simply move the decimal 1 place to the right because that's what multiplying by 10 does. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to subtract 1n. Now I know what 1n equals right here. 1n equals 0.44444. So I'm going to subtract decimal 4444. If I have 10 n's and I take away 1 n, it's like having 10 Nutter Butter cookies and I eat 1 Nutter Butter cookie. I'm going to be left with 9 n's, or 9 Nutter Butter cookies. If I do this subtraction problem here, all of the repeating numbers subtract away. So this just leaves me with 4. Now, what math operation is this? This is multiplication. What's the opposite of multiplying by 9? Dividing by 9. So I'm going to divide both sides by 9, and n is going to equal 4/9. Now I can go over to my calculator and I can check it. Control, divide, 4, arrow, 9, control, enter, and I see that repeating 4 is equivalent to 4/9. So I have the work to get me credit, and I have the calculator to check it. All right, let's look at the next one. The next one is 3.15. So notice that I have a whole number, and I'm going to go ahead And I'm going to write that whole number in my answer because that whole number is not going to change. So it's going to be 3. And now what I need to do is I need to change the repeating 15 into a fraction. So the first step that I'm going to do is I'm going to write n equals 0.151515. Now I'm going to count. I have 2 digits that are repeating, 15, 15, 15. That means that I'm going to need to multiply by the number over here that's going to have 2 zeros, or 100. If I multiply the left by 100, I'm going to multiply the right by 100, which is going to move the decimal 2 places to the right. I can go over here and check that. 0.151515 times 100. And sure enough, now I have one set of digits that is not repeating and all the rest of them that are repeating on the other side of the decimal. Now you don't have to put it into the calculator here. You can use the shortcut that says that if I'm multiplying by 100, it just moves the decimal 2 places to the right. All right, so now I need to subtract off all of the repeating digits. So that means I'm going to take 1n away because 1n equals 0.15, 0.15, 0.15. So I'm going to subtract 0.15, 0.15. That's going to leave me with 99n is equal to 15 because all of the repeating digits subtract off. Now I'm going to ask myself, what math operation is this? This is multiplying by 99. What's the opposite of multiplying by 99? Dividing by 99. Brother-sister rule says I'm going to do that on both sides. And I'm going to get n is equal to 15 over 99. Now I know I can reduce both of those by 3, which is going to give me n is equal to 5/33. So I'm going to come back up here, and my answer is going to be 3 and 5/33. Now I'm going to go check my answer. I don't need to check the whole number because the whole number doesn't change. All I need to do is do Control, divide, 5, arrow down, 33, Control, enter, and sure enough, I get the repeating 1515. And now you know how to convert decimals to fractions.